Good morning. Welcome to My Left Ear. I'm Carrie Freeman, the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. This is video 194. It's Sunday, February 18th. And this is a left-leaning political site with psychic commentary, predictions, and I do runes readings to clarify the predictions. So, it's called My Left Ear because I get psychic information from this side. It's just, it's almost like another person is telling me stuff, but I don't hear voices and I'm not schizophrenic. So on this site, I disseminate news information, I add psychic commentary, and we go from there. I call myself a change agent and I do private sessions, and all my information is below. How you reach me, my Patreon channel, my books. So just look below. I'll save time over talking. And this is for entertainment purposes only. And if you like it, please hit the like button and subscribe. Okay. My last YouTube show was last Wednesday, and I remember as I was signing off, I said, I'll probably see you on Saturday. I apologize, it wasn't Saturday. I was writing this on Saturday because big things are going to happen between now and this weekend. I just knew it. That's the ear. And big things did happen. So I'm going to quickly go over these things. This anti-Putin activist, kind of a hero, Alexei Navalny, is deceased. He died in a Russian prison. It was murder. I heard Kamala Harris confirm that, plus multiple sources, although you will not hear anybody in Russia saying that he was murdered. And as a result, because Alexei was a hero, he's a hero. And so in Russia, starting 2 days ago, over 400 Russians have been arrested across 30 cities because they're mourning the death of Alexei. And the real number could be much higher than 400. And all of this is Putin driven. They're not even allowed to put flowers or a tribute out for him. And that's what would happen in the United States if Donald Trump was elected. Just a little reminder. Now, to continue on about the big things that happened since I last saw you, I think the day after I did my last video, Wednesday, I think it was Thursday, that there was a deadly shooting in Kansas City, Missouri, during the Chiefs Super Bowl parade, which I've done there before safely, but not this year. And a lot of children were hurt, and a local DJ named Lisa Lopez was killed. And she has 3 children. It's just impossibly sad. It's maddening. One very nice thing is that Taylor Swift donated $100,000 to Lisa Lopez's family to help make their life a little easier. I actually found a website where some people were criticizing Taylor Swift and saying it wasn't enough money. I thought it was so inappropriate for people to do that. At any rate, and then in terms of Donald Trump and his bank fraud case in New York with Judge Elgorin, I really have a hard time pronouncing his name, but you know which judge I'm talking about. So now he owes, like in a totality for so far, like almost $1 billion between E. Jean Carroll getting like 83 million, something in that range. And now this bank fraud case in New York, and on and on. So then the other thing that happened in regard to James Comer in Congress, GOP, trying to impeach Biden, even though nobody can find any reason, but they keep at it. And they keep at it because this is what Trump is telling them to do. Trump is like the unelected shadow president right now. However, they discovered an FBI informant who had fed Comer all this information, dirty information about Hunter and Joe Biden. That FBI informant was arrested. His name is Smirnov. And he lied about Biden, and he lied about Hunter, and he issued false reports to James Comer. So that puts that attempt at impeaching Joe Biden, like in a grave. And Comer seems to be hiding. I think they're suggesting that they're not done. They're going to keep going forward. But honestly, it's a dead issue. And Comer he should be humiliated, but he may be too stupid to be humiliated. He's just been lying and trying to get this impeachment thing going. And it's just so interesting that this FBI informant is crooked, and he was arrested. And there you go. All right. Now I'm going to talk about the Ukraine, the bill to help Ukraine and help the border is dead. It crashed. And then the GOP left town for time off, vacation, whatever they do. So I'm going to talk for a minute about compromat. Because people are now a lot on Twitter questioning, let me see if I can do this without the glasses, questioning this blocking of Ukraine, and that we're failing Ukraine now because this bill could not go through. Pastor, speaker, pervert will not even let it hit the floor of the House because there's good reason the House is going to approve it. And of course, Pastor Speaker has, orders from Trump. He's taking orders from Trump. But there is this issue of compromat. And so the blocking of Ukraine's military can be explained by compromat, bribes, threats, or cult influence. But when you analyze his behavior more closely, with extremely high probability, it can really only be explained as compromat. He's very nervous. So I'll tell you, I'm going to say something that a lot of people won't say out loud, but I don't work for MSNBC or anybody. I'm not on anybody's payroll, so I can say it. I'm sure you've thought it. Is Speaker Johnson in the closet, and Trump knows, and Putin knows? They're the king of compromat. That's how they get a lot of stuff done. All right. So I just needed to do this. I did the runes on this question. Is Speaker Johnson in the closet? Now, I have a friend who has done a lot of journalism, and she's been talking to people in Louisiana, which is where he's from, who say, yeah, he is. And a lot of people know it. All right, so the first one I got was disruption, and it came up a lot in this particular reading today. So change, freedom, invention are all aspects of disruption. And disruption talks about breaking free from constricting identification, which is, almost literal for our question about him being in the closet. That's constricting for him, if that's the case. So disruption is the great awakener. And it may take various forms where he's like, outed. And it could be so powerful as to rip away the fabric of what he previously knew, or what we previously knew or were told about him. So when disruption appears in a rune cast, it indicates disruption on many levels, because it always works in reverse, and it is considered the great awakener. So in one fatal swoop, disruption may rip away one's current understanding and perception of one's reality. That would be the speaker's shock at secrets coming out, proof, evidence. And another part of it is that it may be awakening from a deep slumber that gradually brings people to their senses. And that may be more reality about the various compromats and kind of blow the top off of the GOP and Trump. That's a good way to put it, the awakening. And so the runes tell us during this time, one's relationships and partnerships may fail. And that could be people just moving away from Speaker Johnson. It says, and only the only power one can hope for in this situation is one's own inner strength. For him, he'll talk about God. Avoid new starts. Limitations and delays are often imposed. One does have limitations. So it suggests, the runes suggest, ease back off. Attempting to fight against fate will cause Speaker Johnson more anguish. Then I got joy reversed, okay? Reversed. And it tells us a difficult passage may be at hand, Mr. Speaker, even if it's brief. Be deliberate in your choices, sir, like tell the truth. The symbolic process of birth, it's like he's rebirthing himself, is long and arduous, and during which fears can arise for the little child within. And he is a damaged little child, not because he's probably gay, but because he thinks he's Moses and taking instruction from God. And he's doing bad things in his position, so he's ungodly. It says he should seek clarity, sincerity, and live with emptiness for a time, because everything is a test. All right. Then I got opening, the rune of opening, and we're still talking about Speaker Johnson maybe living in a closet, okay? And opening is the rune of renewed clarity. And if the truth came out, that would be renewed clarity, dispelling any darkness that may be shrouding his life. And it tells him, make sure that nothing is left hidden in dark corners. This is like almost literal. And then coming to the end of that, the more light he has to guide him, the better we can decide what is trivial and outmoded, and he is trivial and outmoded. And it does caution us to control our passions lest we be burnt. And also the funny thing is, this rune of opening is the ultimate in feminine energy. I just find that very interesting. Now, I don't know if you guys know about, this is from quite a long time ago, story of Minister Ted Harbert, minister, pastor, very famous, huge megachurch, lots of money. And he really, when he was on that stage, he reviled homosexuality. Well, he was on a weekly basis visiting a male escort, professional escort. He was having sex with the escort, and he was doing meth. and nobody knew. One day, the escort turned on the TV and saw Ted Harbert, the pastor, minister, whatever the hell he was, on stage railing about homosexuality. So the escort became furious and outed him. That's how it happened. And it really brought Ted Harbert down, but he railed against homosexuality. Somehow he got back with his wife. They were on Oprah. It was distressing because they were talking about, he was saying, I'm not that, blah, blah. It was really embarrassing. Anyway, Ted Harbert. All right, second rune, because now I'm going to go through these questions. Will funding for Ukraine somehow come through? And I got the rune of opening, and opening is renewed clarity, dispelling darkness, and it is the rune of mourning activities, not mourning like grieving, mourning activities, essential at the beginning of any endeavor. And I wrote, my left ear wrote, renewed artillery and fighting. The more light they have, the better we can all decide what is outmoded. These people need money, they need jets, they need fuel, they need supplies, they need food. So it's interesting, this opening rune tells us to open ourselves to the passion for winning. That's not me, that's the runes. But moderate the successes lest you get burnt or you overdo it. So then I got, and this is about the artillery, this is about Ukraine, movement. Movement is directly connected to the horse, and the importance of the horse on man's culture cannot be overestimated. It's the messenger here. It's the rune of transit, transition, physical shifts, new dwelling places, new attitudes, new life. That's a good sign, okay, for Ukraine. It tells Ukraine and us, because we're partners, accept the path. Even if the stairs seem steep, you will accomplish them. I made that red. You will accomplish them. So this rune is about a gradual development and steady progress through numerous shifts. And it does say, listen, Ukraine, you have progressed far enough to feel a measure of safety. So face the future and be prepared to face the future, reassured, and to share your good fortune. And then finally, when you hear it, you're going to go, oh no, that's terrible, but it's not. Disruption was the third rune. But what it means is disruption to Putin and the Russian army and their aggression. That's when it says break free from constricting identification, where Ukraine is no longer a victim. They have their sovereignty back, because disruption is the great awakener. And the awakener can take many forms, but in this case, it's saying to Putin, no, you can't. You just back off, Jojo, okay? So this indicates disruption on many levels, but for our purposes and Ukraine's purposes, it is a good sign. Because in one fatal swoop, disruption may rip away one's current understanding and perception of one's reality, and that would be good. The reality in Ukraine needs to shift. So I don't know how, but I'm getting a good reading on us finding the way and means to support Ukraine. And maybe that'll come up this coming week. I know that Joe Biden is determined. It really must happen. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's the reading. The readings are pretty good. They're pretty accurate. All right. Now, I have had a thought privately. I might have mentioned it last week, but then I heard someone that's a really good pundit for MSNBC. I can't remember who. I had said, I think Nikki Haley is yakking and yakking, and she's getting nastier and nastier. Remember when she was so careful? That she's waiting for Trump to collapse so that she can step right into that to be a candidate, a presidential candidate. But I heard someone else say that. So I went, okay, I'm not crazy. My left ear's not crazy. So I got the rune of signals. It's the messenger rune. And it says, be prepared for messages of great importance that bring change into your life. Signal signs, messages, and omens are all things you need to be extra aware of. And this rune, signals, is also considered the trickster, because in a breath, it can cause change and unexpectedness. So that could be someone collapsing or being rushed to the hospital. It shakes up everything. So that's an indication that whoever that pundit is, and myself and my left ear, may not be that far off. I have always had a hard time seeing Trump being able and present to run by November. So this change may not be comfortable, but it is coming, according to the runes. But we grow from it and we move forward on our path, on our future. So it does guarantee that change is on its way. And it's, listen to this carefully, this signals rune speaks of both endings and beginnings. There is a chance of this. Do not rule out Nikki Haley. Even if there's an official dropping out, this is what she's waiting for. I want you to know that. Then I asked, will Trump actually run? The follow-up question. And I got movement reversed. It pretty much speaks for itself. It indicates my left ear may be correct. And it says movement that appears blocked. So if he collapses, or worse, it's movement that is blocked. His movement is blocked. And it does say, this is kind of ironic saying this to Trump, but you have to recognize that all possibilities are not open to you. And the opportunity message here is to avoid action. I'm sure Nikki Haley would like that. And then I got the rune of opening, which sounds good, but it also has to do with renewed clarity and dispelling darkness that may be shrouding a life. It is associated with light, and it cautions, make sure there is nothing hidden remaining in the dark corners, Donald Trump. So the fires of passion are sure to burn strong when Trump is unable to run. And I added that, when Trump is unable to run. And it does say seriousness, clear intent, and concentration. I don't know that Trump has concentration, are essential at the beginning of any new endeavor. And this also, again, is feminine energy. And of course, Nikki is feminine energy. So that's that. Now, I just have some things that came up for me that are my left ear predictions. They're not rune predictions. And that is, and I think others agree with me, Fani Willis will remain on the RICO case. They are putting her through hell. It's been a salacious travesty. And, she walked into the court and surprised everybody, took a seat, and gave them an old-fashioned term that I like. She gave them a what for. Did you ever hear that? I got a what for, and that's like I'm telling you off. I love what for. All right. So expect her to remain on the case. Now, as I told you last week, I think she had a little lapse in judgment getting involved with anybody on such a high risk, high profile case. It should have been pristine, but she did it. They were old friends. It's not illegal. They're playing for the same team. So she had a little lapse in judgment, but she's a rockin' and rollin' prosecutor. All right, so that. Now, I also was told by my left ear that the Chutkan trial, which is the DC 1/6 Jack Smith event, will move forward, and it will move forward in plenty of time as it gets closer to the actual election. That's going to happen, just pushed a little bit. I think that, yeah, just pushed a little bit. That's all I'm going to say right now. So there's a lot of information today that I'm sharing. And this quote, I just had to put it in. I'm sorry, I'm burping. I had breakfast. I apologize. This quote is inevitable. I had to use it because it came from Fani Willis. She said sitting in the sitting and answering questions at this hearing. It wasn't a trial. It's not a trial. She said, and she's getting asked all these intimate, inappropriate questions about money and her dating this Wade gentleman. And she said, a man is not a plan. A man is a companion. And that's a Fani Willis quote. I think it's worth mentioning. So I'm going to share with you last little story. It's upbeat. It's a form of good evidence. I actually, in my book, I call it spiritual good evidence, because it was almost like I was a little bit in trouble, and it was like the clouds opened up and the gods heard me, like immediately. So here's what it was. As I've told you before, I still sometimes work in the entertainment industry, and I work on awards shows. So I was asked to work on a show on, what's today, Sunday? Thursday, at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills. And I had worked this show before. The organization is called the American Cinematheque Awards. And every year they do a tribute to some terrific actress or actor with a great career. So this year was Helen Mirren, and I was asked to come and be a stand-in. And what a stand-in does is you walk into the International Ballroom at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, and there's all those dinner tables and stuff set up, but nothing's been put together. So it's empty, and there's waiters walking around, and there's tech people and a director, and a big a teleprompter, if you don't know, is a giant monitor. So when Pierce Brosnan or Helen Mirren get up on stage and they have to read some dialogue or an intro or a thank you, they read it off the teleprompter. So that's what the stand-ins do. That they say, oh, you're Bryan Cranston, go out there, go to the podium on your right and make the speech, and then when you exit, come back the same way, and da-da-da-da-da. And I've done it before. So I drove to a place called Century City, which normally is about maybe 25, 30 minutes from my house. It's near Beverly Hills, and Century City has all high-rise buildings, shopping centers. It's just a massive piece of real estate, and it's kind of intimidating. And there's streets that are east and there's streets that are west, and I've been there many times, but here's what I didn't know on Thursday. That whole area with the high rises is under construction, and there are streets blocked off, and you can't make a right here and you can't make a left here, and you've got to take a different street. And my left ear the day before said, you need to leave 2 hours early. Don't take any chances. Leave really early. And you can just sit in the lobby with your computer until your call time. So I left myself plenty of time. Thank you, my left ear. So I get there and I am going down this street. I am going down that street. I cannot find, there's 2 streets I could have gotten to the parking structure. In the past, we had parking at the Beverly Hilton, but their parking structure is going through transition, so we couldn't use it. So normally I park at the hotel and I walk right into the hotel, but not this time. So I'm starting to get a little panicked, but I'm not late. And I'm like, what am I going to do if I cannot find this parking structure? Because then the production company had big buses to transfer us to the hotel. And I'm driving around, and now I start talking to myself, and it began to seem like a little hopeless. And I either was looking for a street called Century Park West, or I was looking for a street called Solar. So I say out loud, these are my 2 phrases that I use all the time now. Life finds a way. Now, I know I've said this on this channel before. Life finds a way, because usually it does. And the other phrase is amor fati. A-M-O-R-F-A-T-I. I did a Patreon channel on amor fati. It is a Latin phrase for love of fate, which puts you into acceptance. So I'm driving and I say out loud to myself, Carrie, take a deep breath. Life finds a way. Amor fati. I said it a few times. Then I pulled up and I stopped at a red light. And I look up, and there's one of the streets that I needed to find. I mean, the minute I got done saying, life finds a way, amor fati, I stop, I look up, and there is Solar Way, the street I needed. Whew. Make a right turn. I get to the parking structure. I roll down the window. Is this for the event? Yes. Park. And the bus was right there, and everything went very smoothly. Except they tapped me at the end of the rehearsal to run up on stage as Helen Mirren and accept the award and make a speech. Now, the honorees write their own speeches. So up comes on the teleprompter her speech. So they can time it. That's the reason they want you to read the whole thing. So I had not, the stage managers goofed. They were supposed to show me her speech and they didn't do it. They threw me up there without any notes or direction. And I started reading Helen Mirren's speech. And I had silver hair, like I didn't have my hat on. So it was great because our hair is the same color. It was just funny. And she's about 5'4" and I'm like 5'3" in shoes. So I started reading it. It was very clever, very well written, very charming, but it kept going and going and going. I think I read 5 pages of her thank you with no prep. And when I got done, that stage manager apologized to me. She goes, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew all that, and it was my fault. And I was like, thank you. But I was spent. I was exhausted. And so yesterday, partly I was recovering from all of that. It all went well. I was paid, and I never saw any of the superstars that were due to come at dinner time. I was released at 6 and everybody was arriving, but Harrison Ford was there, Pierce Brosnan, although just some really big stars. Anyway, I love Helen Mirren, and they showed a lot of clips of her past films, and she's quite a dame, as they might say. So there we go. That's today's. I'm gonna load it right now. I hope it doesn't take too long. Let's see, we've got 34 minutes. Okay, could take a few minutes, but let's keep our fingers crossed. I will see you soon. We're into a high news cycle right now. Just boom, we are into it now. So you take care, make peace, make good memories, do something nice. Wasn't that story great about the bus driver buying that little boy pajamas. Oh my God, and they were just so beautiful together. He looked like his uncle, but I was thinking that bus driver, some business owner should hire him, because what a beautiful spirit and ethics, and wow, very impressed. Anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it. See you soon. Have a good Sunday. Bye-bye.